when Matt first started doing it, he was doing a job that we now have 30 people doing.
This time on Combat Central, No Limit boxing promoter and former NRL player George Rose.
Australian boxing undercards were, it was a hiding to nothing for a lot of the fights. The big fight, and he was coming in, he was winding them up from way back. They clashed right in front of us, and everybody came running across. Brett Stewart's the first one to get there, and the experience to be able to do more over in the US.
From one of the most beloved footy players in his heyday to helping revitalise Australian boxing. The 41-year-old and his two brothers have been pivotal in breathing life into a once stagnant Australian boxing scene. And they've done it all with their prestigious No Limit boxing promotion. The Roses have been putting on some of the biggest boxing shows in Australian history. I sat down with the friendly giant to hear about his love for putting on mouth-watering fights, the exciting future of the promotion, his immense stable of esteemed fighters like Tim Tszyu, upcoming cards, the Battle of Brookvale, and much, much more. How you going? First of all, you've had an absolute stellar couple of years. These No Limit boxing fights are just amazing. I love watching your cards. What do you think is the kind of secret sauce behind your success, mate?
I don't think there's any one single secret sauce to it. I think there's a lot of hard work. There's a lot of persistence. I think there's a lot of passion involved in it too. I often say to a lot of people that boxing is a very tough sport for everyone involved, whether you're the fighter, the trainer, the manager or the promoter. It's a sport that you really have to love to stick around for a long time, because there's so many ups and downs in it. But for us, our passion for the sport, our joy that we get from putting on good events and good fights, that's one of our biggest drivers that keeps us going and makes us push to that next level of where we want to be and where we want to keep growing to.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I think is just phenomenal to see, and I think obviously credit to you guys for doing this, is the matchups you make. I think at the heart of your fights, your matchups are just, they're just phenomenal in terms of, you'll have a fight where you're watching, it might be at the bottom of the card, and you're like, I can't wait to see this. I can't wait to watch this unfold. And you don't know how it's going to go a lot of the time. Yeah. Are you guys, obviously you're openly looking for that kind of stuff when you're putting these cards together? Absolutely.
And I've got to give credit to our matchmakers firstly, but also to the fighters who are willing to take those fights. For a long time, Australian boxing undercards were, it was a hiding to nothing for a lot of the fights. And I just didn't enjoy that. What we try to do is we try to put things on that we'd actually enjoy. And I want to see a fight where I sit down and wonder who's actually going to win. And I feel like we're getting closer and closer to that point with every show that we do. Guys and girls are putting their hands up to take these tough fights, knowing that on the other side, there's a huge opportunity to progress further, but also knowing that when you put yourself on the line in a really tough fight and you have an absolute crack, it's not the end of your career. There's still opportunities straight around the corner for you. And, I'm grateful for that people are putting themselves in that position, but that's what we're about. We love that. Well, it's the entertainment side of it, right? Yeah. I don't want to just turn up and watch someone get flogged. I want to be entertained. I want to see some good close fights.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope you don't mind me using this comparison, but I would say the UFC, it's almost similar in that respect. You have these fantastic cards, fights on these cards throughout, not just at the top. You look at even some of these big name international cards, and you're kind of sitting through, the early the prelims, and you're going, this isn't for me. This is a bit dull, and it is. It's really cool to see you guys putting on these fights. So yeah, congrats to you guys.
Yeah, no, thank you. And you know what? That's what we do hope to do. The UFC has obviously got a tremendous advantage in that they have all their fighters signed to them, and they can force their fighters to take fights. So whereas we don't have that luxury, it does come back to the fighters being willing to take those fights and when they do, again, it gives us a chance to build their name. People remember these undercard fighters, and people start supporting them and following them. And then when they do become a star, they've already built their base here in the country.
What's been some of the struggles, mate? I mean, you guys didn't just kind of burst onto the scene. There was a lot of hard grafting behind the scene. Take me through that, mate. Take me through, some of the years of the struggles and, until you finally got in and put your foot in the door.
Yeah, look, we've been around for 10 years now, and I often laugh. My older brother was the one who started Matt. So when Matt first started doing it, he was doing a job that we now have 30 people doing. So he was doing that on his own. And I question how he actually managed to get it done. He did he must have really put in a lot of effort to be able to get it to what we do now with a staff of 30 odd people. And then, on fight day, there's even more given, our production partners and our broadcast partners. So there's so many more people, lending a hand to make what we do on fight night look amazing. But at the start, he was all on his own, and I was still finishing a footy career. My younger brother was still young and, not looking to do too much, but all three of us are in the business now, and having us all working together and, I think working together as family is sort of something that helps us achieve what we do too, because we're able to have really honest conversations when we have to, because we don't always agree. Publicly, we'll always end up at a point where we've agreed on what our final outcome or final message or final, matchup, whatever it might be. But before that, we have some really tough conversations before it, and it's only to get the best result that we want and that we can get. And, being able to have that, we've had some interesting ones over the years.
I can imagine, mate. Your passion, for footy, it's always been amazing to watch. I'm a local Manly boy. I grew up in the era where you guys were absolutely killing it. Grand finals, etc. When did your kind of passion turn towards boxing? Has it always been something that's been in the background? I mean, I was going to ask you this as well. Have you ever thought about having a crack in the ring?
I love boxing. I've always loved boxing. When we were kids, we used to watch old highlights of Ronald Rose when we were young fellas. So for that for us was, we were always so passionate about it. And even when I was playing footy, one of the main forms of training that I did was boxing. I really enjoyed it. And I think anybody who does boxing training, you really do enjoy it. Yeah. Not everybody is built to be able to get in the ring. And I think for me, if No Limit existed the way that we do now, while I was playing, I reckon I definitely would have jumped in and had a crack. But the reality of it is that I was brilliant punching the bag and hitting the pads, but when it comes to it, if I get hit by a heavyweight, I'm going straight down.
Come on, mate. Don't sell yourself short. I was seeing how you ran that ball up. What about, some of the scraps you had on fields? Like, take me through, that, and like, did any of your boxing training kind of help you with that? And also, I wanted to ask you about the Battle of Brookvale. You were on the bench for that, like you were interchanged for that, weren't you? Did you get involved in that at all?
No, so I missed out on it. I was just about to come on the field for Darcy Lussick.
Yeah.
And as you know, Darcy was heavily involved in the Battle of Brookvale, the big fight, and he was coming in, he was winding them up from way back, he's a big bloke, so I think he even was winding in some big uppercuts. But for me, I was literally standing on the sideline waiting to go in for Darcy, and he's kicked off a blue. Got sin-binned. I had to go and sit back down, and I missed it. I think I only played about 20 minutes that game, and it was all because Darcy got sin-binned and took me time off me. But when it all erupted, I remember when, because as I said, I was standing there, Glenn and Adam Blair were coming to the sideline, and they clashed right in front of us, and everybody came running across. Brett Stewart's the first one to get there, and then the Melbourne bench jumped up, and I was already standing there. The refs are coming and grabbing me, and they're saying, "George, don't get involved in it." the whole Melbourne bench came from over here, and they'd all jumped in on the fight. I'm like, you need to look at them. I'm standing here relaxed. I just want to get on the field. But, the Melbourne guys are all jumping in. They've still got their jackets on. Actually, Cam Murray ended up getting 3 weeks for doing it the other week in the Origin. But these blokes were doing it back at the Battle of Brookvale. So it was a memorable one. It was always a memorable clash whenever we played Melbourne, and really enjoyed them high competitive clashes. And they didn't take a backward step, and neither did we, but I think we got one up on them in the end.
Back to the no limit stuff, mate. One signing, one of your recent signings, Matteo Tapia, mate. Congratulations on that. That is, I might be a bit biased because I used to train with him, but he is got to be one of the biggest, the least talked about and biggest rising star in Australian boxing, in my personal biased opinion. But great signing. To take me through the signing, he was telling me in my recent interview with him and recent chat with him, he was saying that you guys have been mates for a while.
Yeah, look, it's crazy. Like, Mateo's a guy that we knew since he was 10 years old. When Trent, my younger brother, he fought an amateur fight at Warriewood, and Mateo was fighting on that same card. So it was when he was too young to fight, and they had to close the doors, and he jumped in, did his thing. But back then, everybody talked about the crazy talent that he was, and he only kept it growing. And when he was turning pro, we really wanted to have him with us because of the relationship that we had, and we knew him. And obviously there was a little bit going on. He'd signed with another promoter, and he was doing his own thing there for a little while. He did fight on a couple of our cards, but it wasn't until recently that we were finally able to sign him. So it was something that I think was meant to be for quite some time. And everything happens for a reason. The timing is obviously right now, and I really do believe that the timing is right for Mateo to make his run for what he deserves. I think he's an amazing talent, and I'm glad that we get to be the ones that introduce Australia to him and show what he can do and how good he actually is in the ring, because he's going to be a world champ. He's absolutely going to be a world champ, and it'll be a cool experience for us, because having that relationship coming from back at Narrabeen, back at Kickstart Gym, and fighting at Warriewood, and being from the beaches, and knowing him from all that time back to where he's at now and what he's going to achieve. It's going to be the journey's going to be great. I'm enjoying it with him already.
That's awesome. Yeah, just going to that point that you were talking about before, I used to train with him down at Kickstart, and even just back then, like, everyone was just terrified of him because he was so intense. And he was only a youngster, and he was sparring people in their late 20s and 30s and stuff, and beating the shit out of them. So it was hilarious.
I knew I wasn't going to mess around with it. I was so clear of that.
This massive card that you've got coming up with Tszyu and Mazoudier, huge bout. I mean, massive bout you put on, and like we were talking about before, it's stacked from top to bottom. Apart from the main event, who are some of the sleeper fights and sleeper matchups that you're like, this is going to be an awesome fight?
Yeah, look, I think in our main card in particular, we open with Jazzy Park and Amber Amelia. I think that's going to be an absolutely. I don't know which way it's going to go. Both are very powerful punchers, and they're both absolutely entertaining fighters. So I reckon they're going to set the tempo for what we expect out of the rest of them. I think that's a great matchup. I really like the Brandon Gratch, Jackson Murray matchup as well. Jackson Murray was obviously making noises on the heavyweight scene. He went over to the US for a little while, and now he's back. And in that time that he was away, Brandon Gratch has stepped onto the heavyweight scene and making an absolute name for himself. So I think that's another great matchup. We've got young D-Boy. He's back in for us. He actually got a bonus on his debut. He was that entertaining where I just had to jump in the ring and give him a bonus, and I couldn't help myself. So he's back again. I'm sure he'll be looking to steal the show. And then we've got a great matchup in Conor Wallace and Jerome Pampelone. Now these guys are two of the absolute best light heavyweights in the world, but they're both Australian and New Zealand representatives. So it's going to be a good one. Yeah, it'll decide who the best light heavyweight is in the area. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's one to watch, and I honestly believe that one could go either way. It really could go either way, and then of course we've got the return of Michael Zarafa.
Yeah.
Michael Zarafa's back here and fighting Tommy Brown. Tommy Brown, a local Sydney hero with a fantastic record, and he's keeps saying one more time. He wants to go again. So I think the chance for him to beat Michael Zarafa in his hometown, or in Tommy's hometown of Sydney, is it'll be a special moment for him. And for Zarafa, he's looking to make a statement again. He wants to be back. He wants to prove that he's one of the best boxers in the country, and he's got his opportunity to do it.
We've also seen Tim Tszyu. He's got a fight announced. No opponent yet. Who would you like him to fight? I mean, I know you can't tell. It's so difficult in boxing, especially of all sports. But who would you? Are there any names that you're like, oh, this would be a fantastic matchup?
Oh, there is. There's a lot of great fights. Firstly, any of the titles, he'd love to get a belt back around his waist. So, Fundora, Madrimov, Metalayev, any of those fights, he'd love to get his hands on the belt again. But outside of that, you've got Terence Crawford, you've got Errol Spence, you've got Erickson Lubin still that will be around. You've got Jamal Charlo has just announced that he's back on the scene and he wants to be the king of the 154-pound division again. So, again, that's a fight that we've been hanging for years. So, I'm excited that he's back as well, because it means that there's a chance that fight can finally happen. And I know that the build-up has been building over a number of years. So, there's some great big names in the division at the moment, and there's belts on offer. So, we're looking forward to getting our hands on some of those belts and then making some of them big, exciting fights.
The Olympics, obviously, is on. A bit of boxing going on there. Harry Garside obviously didn't get the win he wanted. Came up short over there. I saw you saying the other day that there's big things in store for him. What do you think? Go talk to me a little bit about that, because he's such a revered fighter. What do you think his future looks like?
Well, look, I think, and I mentioned it previously, I think whatever Harry chooses to do in his life, he'll be successful at.
Yeah.
I think he's a guy who's got a great work ethic. He's got a great demeanour about him. He's got a great personality. People are attracted to him. People want to follow him. People want to be a part of whatever his journey is. And I know that, whatever he does choose to do, I think he'll be successful at it. But if he does come to pro boxing, I can guarantee that he'll be very successful at that as well. We have some really good personalities in Australian boxing, and we have some really talented fighters in Australian boxing. And Harry's a guy who sort of sits in his own league, his own category, where he would attract a whole different fan base if he pursued that professional career. And it'd be a really exciting opportunity for us and for him to see how far he can actually take that. I think he could go all the way to the top, because the names that sit around that lightweight division, there's some absolute mouth-watering fights that he could work his way towards and really put Australia back on the map in that division.
Yeah. Have you spoken with him at all? Are you close with him at all? Like, have you reached out with him after his loss? Because obviously he was just so distraught, and the whole nation saw that. Really.
Yeah, look, I just sent a message of support to him after it. But, I'll look forward to catching up with him once he gets back here to Australia. He's still got a lot to enjoy over there. He's an Olympian, and every one of these guys need to be given their credit. The fact that you're representing Australia at the Olympics, that alone is a massive achievement that not many humans will ever get the opportunity to do. So, huge achievement for all of those guys. I hope they enjoy Europe while they're over there, the Europe summer, and spend their time with family. And once he does come back to Australia, we look forward to catching up and seeing where his thoughts are on where his direction's headed.
Yeah, I've spoken with him a few times, and he's just such a lovely, everyone sees it, and that's what he is behind the scenes as well. He's just such a genuine, caring person. I've only met him a few times, but just such a genuine person. I really like that about him. Yeah. But Yeah. Moving on to there's another kind of bit of a drama going on at the Olympics. I don't know if you want to touch on this at all, but it is interesting and to do with, gender. There's a whole gender fury about two of the boxers over there. In particular, one recently, as recent as yesterday, had an opponent quit in the first 45 seconds. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think the IOC should be, stricter?
Yeah, look, obviously a very controversial subject. I don't know enough about the processes that have taken place to get to the decisions that they've made, but I think for me it's pretty clear that in an instance where males should fight males, females versus females, I think that boxing in particular is one of them sports where you can seriously hurt someone. You can seriously hurt someone if you have an unfair advantage, and I think that's one that they've got to be particularly very careful with and very strict with. So I don't know the exact procedures that got to the point where it's at now, but for me, if it was the way that most people are saying, then I don't think that's fair, and I don't think it should be happening.
What are your future plans for No Limit? I mean, obviously, international cards. Like, could we see, you moving and maybe doing a few more, like maybe some New Zealand cards? What's in store for you guys?
Yeah, well, look, we've, we got a taste of the US experience last year. We got our first Vegas show with Tim. That was exciting. It was really exciting. And I think, end of the day, I think we love the most doing shows here in Australia. I get a real buzz doing it here. I relate very well to Australian people and what we like, but the experience to be able to do more over in the US, I'm very excited about that. We did just sign a few guys out of New Zealand, so there could be an opportunity to do that. We've obviously got Andre Mikhailovich, Jerome Pangolin, Miyamoto, so Kiki Latello as well. So there's some really good fighters over there in New Zealand, and should the opportunity come up, we'd love to do a show over there at some stage. Peach Boxing's doing great things over there in New Zealand, so we'd love to work more with them on what they're doing and the talent they have. But I think the talent that we have here in Australia too, guys are ready to go to that world stage. So we're ready and prepared to do more shows internationally, and would love to do it, but we'll always have a desire to put on big, exciting shows in Australia as well.
One thing before I let you go, you do this with a lot of your fighters you speak with. I love hearing you talk about it. Build a fighter, mate. Walk me through your build a fighter. You always throw it on the other fighters. Man. You tell me who you would choose, what parts of fighters you would choose to make your ultimate fighter.
Okay, well, so that I'm not going to upset anyone, I'll put it together without using any of our fighters.
That's a good idea.
Because I don't want to upset anyone there. Because when I've done it in the past, I've used all our fighters, and and they weren't happy about that. And then I don't want to upset anyone. So I think for power, for me, I've always loved the Mike Tyson power. I've loved the Mike Tyson power. Yeah, he's amazing. Speed, I'd go Floyd Mayweather. I've loved his performances over the years. Defense, I'm going to go a funny one because the guy, he actually ended up getting caught and the defense didn't pay off. But I'm going Bruce Lee. I used to love how he moved, the crazy things he used to do. It's not a textbook defense. It's not a I'll probably cop some flack for that one, but I loved it. I love entertainment. So I've got to have Roy Jones Jr. in there somewhere. What have I got for him? Footwork. Let's give him some footwork. And boxing IQ. Floyd Mayweather is up there. I'll go Canelo. Since I've already said Floyd, I'll go Canelo for IQ because he seems to work his game plan out really well. Yeah.
That sounds like a bloody scary fight if I've ever heard of one, mate.
And
Really,
trash talk. I've got to include that, and we've got Tyson Fury for that.
Oh, absolutely,
yeah,
great one. Yeah, oh, God,
yeah.
I couldn't believe Fury. Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. All right, mate. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate chatting with you and having the time. Good luck with your upcoming fights. And
no, it's going to be a great card, and we've got some really good guys on there. So look forward to getting the showcase now.